We are continuing our visit to Lijiang, China, an amazing, sleepy, historic village that we visited in 1997 and managed to capture this footage for you. Today, Lijiang is more crowded, but still wonderful. In this episode, we're going to show you some of the restaurants, and then we'll take you on a walk through the big outdoor food market. And we'll take you into a couple of typical boutique hotels. There are some casual and inexpensive hotels that you can stay at that are located inside the old town. Don't hesitate to ask to go have a look at the room. That's the best way to evaluate it, and then you can decide if you want to stay or go. They're kind of backpacker crash pads in some ways. Some of the rooms don't have bathrooms. Sometimes it's a group shower, and you have very rustic facilities, but you're going to save a lot of money, and you'll be experiencing the old town night and day. So you might want to consider this kind of accommodations and have a look around, look on the internet, check it out, and you can find some hostels, you can find bed and breakfast type places, and just the rustic hotel. It's really an authentic way of seeing this great old town. According to the listings on the TripAdvisor website, Lijiang has got 446 hotels, which is really astronomical. Of course, a lot of those are little bed and breakfasts that could be very comfortable, offer you a good accommodation, simple surroundings, and there are also some five-star hotels, including a Crown Plaza and many other more modern hotels that have popped up recently. So take your pick. Kids queued up at the candy store after school like children around the world. Hey! How are you? How are you? It's always fun to say hi to the local kids and try and relate to them a little bit, take a few pictures, and hello. Watch as they go marching on by. Hello. It was a little bit rainy this afternoon, and so they've got their umbrellas up, making nice frameworks. It wasn't raining very hard. Out for a walk after the rain can be very pleasant. You know, the streets are washed down, the air is fresh, and it's a great time to take pictures as well, too. The light seems more clear, the air is crisp. We came across a group of falcon enthusiasts. These fellows have got their pet birds and engaging in the sport of falconry. Maybe they're using the birds to go off and do some hunting. And when they're not hunting, the birds are like friendly pets, well taken care of. It's an ancient tradition that goes back 4,000 years in China. Another tradition in the rustic life is burning wood as a fuel for heating or for cooking. Back in '97 when this was filmed, it seemed like most of the restaurants had wood-burning stoves. At that time, we didn't think so much about the air pollution in Chinese cities, but now since the country has become so industrialized, it's certainly become a major issue. The restaurants back then in 1997 when we filmed this were really quite simple. Real basic places, generally no menu, no front window, no front wall, sometimes no shop, just out on the sidewalk. And very delicious foods, of course, and so inexpensive. You get a meal there for $1 or $2 for a complete meal. And it was cooked right in front of you, so it was fresh, no worries about your stomach or anything like that. Even the street food, notice they have some butane burners there to keep the foods warm out on the sidewalk. And very little in the way of fancy restaurants in the old town. Nowadays, TripAdvisor lists 191 restaurants for Lijiang. So there have been many changes in the last 17 years. The cuisine of the Yunnan province is really varied because this region has the largest number of ethnic minority groups in China. So it's hard to make generalizations about the food, but you can say that the most popular dish is noodles. It's crossing the bridge noodles, they call it. a bowl of boiling chicken soup to which you add your own selection of thin meat slices, vegetables, and spices and noodles, much like a hot pot. Some of the kitchens perch their equipment right out over the stream, but they do take care not to pollute this water because they really depend on it for cleaning and drinking and cooking, and you can see the ducks are frolicking around, and so they keep these streams in very good condition. Of course, these ducks are not pets, they eat them. There's a traditional dish called the Lijiang roast duck, crispy skin roast duck similar to Beijing duck, but honey is used to crisp and color the skin. Speaking of food, we're going to take you now on a long walk through the outdoor food market. This is located actually in the newer part of town, just a few blocks away from the old town, and it is a very traditional Chinese food market, as you'll see. There is lots of variety of produce, vegetables, fruits, there's meats, there's clothing, there's hardware and knickknacks, and yet nothing for the tourist. You'll notice as we walk around in this market, this is back in 1997, remember, there was no tourists here, and there was no souvenirs for sale. It's strictly a local and utilitarian market. We're going to walk you through the market in the new town and show you just how fascinating and interesting it is. And it's really a local scene for the local people. And they're haggling, they're buying their vegetables, they're getting produce and fruits and meats. They're hanging out, they're just passing the time of day, but they're working hard. You see people moving things by muscle power. There's very few motorized vehicles here in the marketplace. Maybe the occasional old ancient truck comes through, but mostly it's people power. They also have some clothing for sale in the marketplace, and here you could certainly get some very good bargains, some very good prices, just picking it right off the rack, especially when this was photographed back in 1997. The prices were super low, but even today, you can shop and find some very good bargains in the clothing racks at the market. And there's also a covered market adjacent to the outdoor open market, and this is in a long building with a whole series of individual stalls, and you see there's the tailors working with their foot pump sewing machines, custom cutting and making things to order. And here in the covered market, you've got a broader variety of clothing to pick from. Today there are basically two parts of town. There's the new town and the old town. And of course it's the old town that has the main attraction for the visitor. But you'll find some very interesting sights to see in the new town as well. And that's probably where you'll be staying as a visitor, because most of the hotels, certainly the newer, more modern hotels, are located in the new town. And you've got a wide variety of restaurants there. Happened to be standing outside the university courtyard as the students were getting out of school. And this is an interesting contrast to see the youth of Lijiang. This is the future of the country. Well, these folks are now in their middle ages already. This is 17 years ago that it was photographed, 1997. They're probably all on their middle of their careers. Maybe they're living in Beijing and Shanghai by now. But we'll hope that some of them are still around in Lijiang helping this town develop. We did see quite a few Tibetan monks walking around in the new town and old town of Lijiang, and that's only natural because the Tibetan population lives throughout parts of southwest China, especially in the Yunnan province. Originally, Tibet covered a much bigger area than the national boundaries do today. Many of the residents are of the minority culture, the Naxi, which is related to the Tibetans. Tibet is not too far away, and this is a really wonderful and exotic group of people, the Naxi people, and they've got their own traditions, their own costumes, their own version of the language. And back in '97 especially, it was predominantly the ethnic minorities living in Lijiang. Well, as we're strolling through this market for the next couple of minutes, I'm going to share with you some of the history of the Lijiang area. This is from the UNESCO description. It was declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site back in 1997, and as part of that, UNESCO provides a very nice description and a summary of the history of the area. There has been a continuous human occupation of this region since the Paleolithic period. Well, okay, look, that's enough history. I don't think you want to really hear about 3,000 years of changing dynasties at this point. You can look it up for yourself later. But there was the Song dynasties and the Mu family and the Azong Aliang and the Yuan Emperor Hubili and many other great characters throughout the thousands of years. But especially in the last 1,000 years, this has been a very important area, as it still is today. So not to minimize or diss that long and noble story, but perhaps you'd like to hear about something else and enjoy these amazing visuals, we could talk about the weather. Weather conditions are very useful for planning your visit to Lijiang because, as mentioned previously, you want to try and come in the off-season, and the winters are mild and very dry and sunny. You've got a better than 70% chance of sunshine, although December and January are the coldest months and the low would be below freezing overnight. But the daytime average temperature, for example, in January is 43 degrees, so that's comfortable enough for you. And spring begins early and remains dry and sunny until late May, and there's a dramatic uptick in frequency of rainfall through the summer and into late September. The summers are warm and pretty rainy. June is the warmest month, but even then the average high temperature is just 75 degrees Fahrenheit, so it's really quite comfortable. And then in autumn there's a big drop in rainfall and return to sunshine. To recap, the winter's the time to come because your chance of sunshine is 80%, compared to the month of July when possibility of sunshine is about 32%. This was part 3 of our in-depth look at this wonderful place, Lijiang, Yunnan in China. Hope you've seen parts 1 and 2. If not, find them on our YouTube channel. And keep in mind that these were photographed in 1997, and we're just premiering it for you now. Things have changed considerably since then. The place has gotten really crowded with tourists, 16 million visitors every year, most of them Chinese. And we're presenting the movie to you anyway because, well, it's a beautiful place to see, even today, and especially back then. And it serves as a metaphor for the changes happening in the world today, the changes in travel, how every place is going through changes. So don't wait, don't hesitate. Get out and visit, travel, wherever you want to go. You should do it soon because the world is constantly getting more crowded, especially the world's most attractive tourist spots. So now is the time to go to enjoy this beautiful world.